Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Today we are going to study the topic Agriculture Extension Education. So let's proceed. First, to understand what is Extension Education. Extension Education is an applied behavioral science, the knowledge of which is applied to bring about desirable changes in the behavioral complex of human beings, usually through various strategies and programs of change and by applying the latest scientific and technological innovations. The extension education is working on the change of human behavior, which comprises of knowledge, skill, attitude, understanding, goals, action, and confidence development. Extension education is also defined in different ways by different scientists. Like as per D. Insigner in 1967, extension is a program and a process of helping village people to help themselves increase their production and to raise their general standard of living. As per Reddy in 1993, extension education is a science which deals with the creation, transmission, and application of knowledge designed to bring about planned changes in the behavior complex of people with a view to help them live better by learning the ways of improving their vocations, enterprises, and institutions. Now, agriculture extension education. The term was first used in the United States of America, where the extension of knowledge from the land-grant colleges to the farmers through the process of informal education. Means this is the transfer of knowledge from colleges to the farmers on rural base level for their development. The word extension is derived from the Latin words ex, which means out, and the word tensio, which means stretching. Stretching out is the meaning of extension, where we have to extract much more after putting the efforts to get the maximum benefits. The word extension came to be used originally in USA while 1914, and it means a branch of university for students who cannot attend the university proper. In other words, the word extension signifies an out-of-school system of education. Agriculture extension education in India. In India, first, the term community development and extension education became more popular with the launching of community development project in 1952 and with the establishment of National Extension Service in 1953. Since that time, the community development has been regarded as a program for an all-around development of the rural people, and extension education is the means to achieve this objective. Now to go through difference between formal education and extension education. When extension education is put into action for educating the rural people, it doesn't remain formal education. In that sense, there are several differences between formal education and extension education, about which we will discuss here. In case of formal education, the focus is given to the theory and works up to the practicals. While in case of extension education, it starts with the practicals and may take up theory later on. Second, in case of formal education, students study subjects and they have to adapt themselves to the fixed curriculum or course of study. While in case of extension education, the farmers study the existing problems and it has no fixed curriculum or course of study, and farmers help to formulate curriculum and course of study according to the prevailing problems and needs the solution. In formal education, the authority rests with the teacher and the class attendance is compulsory. While in case of extension education, the authority rests with us and attendance is purely voluntary and not compulsory basis. In formal education, the teachers are instructing the students, while in case of extension education, the teacher teaches and also learns from farmers. So there is two-way communication. In formal education, teaching is only through instructors or vertical education is there, while in case of extension education, the teaching is only through local leaders and there is horizontal nature of teaching methods. In formal education, the teacher has more or less homogeneous audience, but in case of extension, the teacher has large and heterogeneous audience and their knowledge level is varying. Formal education is somewhat rigid or fixed, but extension education is flexible and there may be different topics as per the requirements of the rural people or farmers. In formal education, it has all pre-planned and pre-decided programs to be studied, while in case of extension education, it has free to develop programs locally and they are based on the needs and expressed desires of the people as per the existing problems among farmers and the solution which required for them. The formal education is more theoretical, while extension education is more practical and intended for immediate application in the solution of problems. So these are the some differences between formal education and extension education. Now to study the basic definitions related to extension. First one is extension education. Extension education is an applied social science consisting of relevant content derived from physical, biological and social sciences and in its own process synthesized into a body of knowledge, concepts, principles, procedures oriented to provide non-credit out of school education largely for adults. The definition was given by Paul Liggins in 1971. Means extension education is focusing education for adults, which is non-formal basis. Second is extension service, which refers to a program for agriculture development and rural welfare, which employs the extension process as a means of program implementation. Third is extension process. This is that of working with rural people throughout of school education along with those lines of their current interest and needs which are closely related to gaining a livelihood, improving the physical level of living of rural families and fostering rural community welfare. Means extension education is mainly related for the rural and community development. Now objectives of extension education. An objectives means a direction of movement. Before starting any program, an objectives must be clearly stated so that one knows where to go and what is to be achieved. The fundamental objective of extension education is the development of the people. There are various objectives about which we will discuss here. Like first one is the dissemination of useful and practical information relating to agriculture, including improved seeds, fertilizers, implements, pesticides, improved cultural practices, dairying, poultry, nutrition, etc. Second objective, the practical application of useful knowledge to the farm and home. Third one, thereby ultimately to improve all aspects of life of the rural people within the framework of the national, economic and social policies involving the population as a whole. Fourth objective, to assist people to discover and analyze their problems and identify their felt needs. Fifth is to develop leadership among people and help them in organizing groups to solve their problems. Sixth objective, to assist people in mobilizing and utilizing the resources which they have and which they need from outside. Seventh objective, to collect and transmit feedback information for solving management problems. So these are the various objectives related to extension education. Now to study the principles of extension education. The extension work is based upon some working principles and the some knowledge of these principles is necessary for an extension worker. Some of these principles is related to agriculture extensions will be discussed here. First principle is principle of interest and need. Extension work must be based on the needs and interest of the people. These needs and interests differ from individual to individual, from village to village, from block to block, and from state to state. And therefore, there cannot be one program for all people. Second principle is principle of cultural difference. Extension work is based on the cultural background of the people with whom the work is done. Improvement can only begin from the level of the people where they are. This means that the extension worker has to know the level of knowledge, the skills of the people, methods and tools used by them, their customs, traditions, beliefs, values, etc. before starting the extension program. Third principle is principle of participation. Extension helps people. Good extension work is directed towards assisting rural families to work out their own problems rather than giving them ready-made solutions. Actual participation and experience of people in these programs creates self-confidence in them, and also they learn more by doing. Fourth principle is principle of adaptability. People differ from each other, one group differs from another group, and conditions also differ from place to place. An extension program should be flexible so that necessary changes can be made whenever needed to meet the varying conditions. Fifth principle is the grassroots principle of organization. A group of rural people in local communities should sponsor extension work. The program should fit in with the local conditions. The aim of organizing the local group is to demonstrate the value of the new practices or programs so that more and more people would participate. Sixth principle is the leadership principle. Extension work is based on the full utilization of local leadership. The selection and training of local leaders to enable them to help to carry out extension work is essential to the success of the program. People have more faith in local leaders and they should be used to put across a new idea so that it is accepted with the least resistance. Seventh principle is the whole family principle. Extension work will have a better chance of success if the extension workers have a whole family approach instead of piecemeal approach or separate and unintegrated approach. Extension work is therefore for the whole family, like for male, female and youths. Eighth principle is principle of cooperation. Extension is a cooperative venture. It is a joint democratic enterprise in which rural people cooperate with their village, block and state officials to pursue a common cause. Ninth principle is principle of satisfaction. To end product of the efforts of extension teaching is the satisfaction that comes to the farmer, his wife or youngsters as the result of solving a problem, meeting a need, acquiring a new skill or some other changes in behavior. Satisfaction is the key to success in extension work. A satisfied customer is the best advertisement. 10th principle is the evaluation principle. Extension is based upon the methods of science and it needs constant evaluation. The effectiveness of the work is measured in terms of the changes brought about in the knowledge, skill, attitude and adoption behavior of the people, but not merely in terms of achievement of physical targets. Now the importance of extension. Extension lays emphasis on how to teach instead of what to teach, so that the people can be encouraged to adopt new research techniques easily. The discipline of extension education is to generate knowledge. It also has to take into account the various problems emerging at the social level due to implementation of developmental programs. Extension education is primarily for the rural development. and its main objective is to bring necessary changes in the beliefs or views of people. Extension education is utilized to make scientific methods available to the rural people so that they can raise their agriculture production and their standard of living. In India, extension education is community development, and extension education plays major role in bringing desirable changes in rural people. Now to study the scope of extension education. The scope of extension education includes all the activities directed towards the development of the rural people. The capacity of extension education to work for rural people is very wide. The activity of the extension deals with many kinds of problems and for all classes of people. Nowadays, extension gives more attention to rural sectors or rural problems because most of the Indian people are living in villages or rural areas. Majority of the rural population depends on agriculture and allied fields. The most important aim of extension education is to develop farmer economically, socially and culturally as an individual, his family, village, state and country as a whole with the help of implementation of different extension programs throughout the country. The activity or scope of extension education is not limited simply to the transfer of agriculture technology from research stations to farmer, but all other aspects which are directly or indirectly related with the growth of the farming community. Now here we will study the scope of extension education which is playing important. Like first one is increasing efficiency in agriculture production, increasing market efficiency, distribution and utilization of agriculture inputs. There is a scope in proper management on the farm and at home, improving rural development, conservation, development and use of natural resources, better family living, attract rural youths towards agriculture, motivate farmers to use internet facility in rural areas, development of young farmers or youth development, value addition of agriculture production to generate higher income, development of leadership among farmers to solve the problems and take the innovative steps, improving public affairs for all-round development, improve economic conditions of the farmers, farming community developments and agriculture entrepreneur development. So extension education is having wide scope for the development of rural areas and farming community. Learning and teaching in extension. Extension is an educational process for bringing about the maximum number of desirable changes among the people, which involves the learning and teaching and needs some tools or methods commonly known as extension teaching methods. It is therefore necessary here to understand what is meant by learning, teaching and extension methods. Learning is the process by which an individual, through his own activity, attains a change in his behavior. It is an active process on the part of the learner. The essential role of an extension worker is to create effective learning situations. The teaching is the process of arranging situations in which the things to be learned are brought to the notice of the learners. Their interest is developed and desired aroused, where they are stimulated to action. So the teaching and learning process is combined of facilitated learning, experimental learning, observational learning, instructional learning and situational learning. Extension teaching methods are the tools and techniques which are used to create situations in which communication can take place between the rural people and the extension workers. They are the methods of extending new knowledge and skills to the rural people by drawing their attention towards them, arousing their interest and helping them to have a successful experience of the new practice. A proper understanding of these methods and their selection for a particular type of works are necessary. In extension teaching methods, there is the combination of attention, interest, desire, conviction, action, and at last satisfaction. Satisfaction is the end product of extension education. So we have to use the optimum and reliable teaching methods which are fruitful, and we can achieve the success for the learning and teaching process. Now to study the classification of extension teaching methods. These are classified in two categories. First one is according to use and nature of content, and second is according to form. First we will study about classification according to use and nature of content. One way of classifying the extension method is according to use and nature of content. In other words, whether they are used for contacting people individually, in groups, or in mass. Based upon the nature of contact, these methods are again divided into individual, group, and mass contact methods. First one is individual contact method, where the extension methods under this category provide opportunities for face-to-face or person-to-person contact between the rural people and the extension workers. These methods are very effective teaching new skills and creating goodwill between farmers and extension workers. And some example methods of individual contact methods are farm and home visits, office calls, telephone calls, and personal letters. Second is group contact methods. Under this category, the rural people or farmers are contacted in a group which usually consists of 20 to 25 persons. These groups are usually formed around a common interest. These methods also involve a face-to-face contact with the people and provide an opportunity for the exchange of ideas, for discussions on problems and technical recommendations, and finally for deciding the future course of actions. And some example methods under group contact methods are method and result demonstrations, training meetings, conferences, workshops, and field trips. Third methods according to use and nature of contact is mass or community contact methods. An extension worker has to approach a large number of people for disseminating a new information and helping them to reach it. This can be done through mass contact methods. Conventionally, these methods are more useful for making people aware of new agriculture technology quickly. And the common methods used under these are bulletins, leaflets, circular letters, radio, televisions, exhibitions, fairs, and posters. Now, second classification according to form. Extension teaching methods are classified under written, spoken, and objective or visual methods. Under written methods, there are bulletins, leaflets, circular letters, news articles, and personal letters. Second classification under according to form is spoken methods, which consist of general and special meetings, farm and home visits, official calls, telephone calls, or using radio. And third method is objective or visual methods, where there is method and result demonstrations, use of posters, motion pictures, movies, and exhibitions. Now we will study commonly used extension methods. First one is farm and home visits. Farm and home visits constitute the direct or face-to-face contact by an extension worker with the farmers or the members of his family. During these visits, information is exchanged or discussed. The visit may be to get acquainted with the problems of the farmers or to organizational purpose. Such visits provide an opportunity for a two-way communications. Second is result demonstrations. Result demonstrations is an educational to prove the advantages of recommended practices, and to demonstrate their applicability to the local condition. It is conducted by a farmer under the direct supervision of an extension worker, and it is designed to teach others in addition to the persons who conducts the demonstration. It helps the farmers to learn by seeing and doing. This method can be used to show the superiority of practices such as the use of fertilizers, insecticides, and pesticides, and high yielding varieties of seeds. Third one is method demonstrations. Method demonstration is used to show the techniques of doing things or carrying out new practices like preparing a nursery bed, treating seed with insecticides and fungicides, line sowing, taking a soil sample, grafting fruit trees, etc. This method is usually used for groups of people. Next it is national demonstrations. National demonstrations are the first line demonstrations conducted by researchers on the farmer's field to show how production can be increased per unit of area and per unit of time. These demonstrations usually include the system of multiple crops and the use of high-yielding varieties along with the best package of practices. They were first initiated on a modest scale in 1965 and have now become a part of the agriculture production program in the country. Now, group discussions. All the farmers cannot contacted by extension workers individually because of their large number. It is convenient and feasible to contact them in groups. This method is commonly known as group discussion. It is used to encourage and stimulate the people to learn more about the problems that concern the community through discussions. It is a good method of involving the local people in developing local leadership and in deciding on a plan of action in a democratic way. Next extension method used is an exhibition is a systematic display of information, actual specimens, models, posters, photographs, and charts in a logical sequence. It is organized for arousing the interest in the things displayed. It is one of the best media for reaching a large number of people, especially illiterate and semi-illiterate people. Exhibitions are used for a wide range of topics such as planning a model village, demonstrating improved irrigation practices, soil conservation methods, showing high-yielding varieties of seeds and plants, new agriculture implements, and the best products of the village industries. Next extension method is general meetings. General meetings are usually held for passing on certain information to the people for future action. Extension workers give lectures to the people on certain pre-selected items of work such as the celebrating Ban Mahotsav or national festival. Next method is campaigns. Campaigns are used to focus the attention of the people on a particular problem like rat control, village sanitation, plant protection, production of rabi crops, family planning, irrigation systems, etc. Through this method, the maximum number of farmers can be reached in the shortest possible time. It builds up community confidence and involves the people emotionally in a program. Next extension method is tours and field days. Conducted tours for farmers are used to convince them and to provide them with an opportunity of seeing the results of new practices, demonstration of skills, new implements, and to give them an ideas regarding the suitability and application of these things in their own area. Such tours may also be arranged to enable the rural people to visit places and institutions connected with the problems of rural life, such as research institutions, training institutions, agriculture universities, model villages, areas of advanced development, leading private farms, exhibitions, and agriculture and cattle fairs. Other extension methods are printed method, means literatures, where the newspapers, magazines, bulletins, leaflets, folders, templates, and wall sheets are used for the extension methods. They are used for communicating general and scientific information on a program or a practice. Another extension methods are using radio. Radio is a mass medium of communication and can reach a large number of people at any given time, involving the least expense. Extension workers use the radio for communicating information on new methods and techniques, giving timely information about the control of crop pests and diseases, weather, market news, etc. For this purpose, talks, group discussions, folk songs, dialogue, and drama are usually organized, and these are very useful for the reaching to the farmer on a large scale. Next extension method is television. Television is one of the most powerful media of communication. It has came into vogue only in recent years. It combines both audio and visual impacts and is very suitable for the dissemination of agriculture informations. It is more useful in teaching how to do a specific job. Next extension method is use of motion pictures or movies. Movies are an effective tools for arousing interest among the people because they involve seeing, hearing, and action. They are the most suitable medium for drawing bigger audience. A film show can be followed by a discussion with the villagers. So these are the most commonly used extension methods used by the extension workers. Now there are some visual aids also which are used for extension methods. These are the tools of teaching through the sense of sight. They are supporting materials and they alone cannot generate learning. They should be considered only a tool that helps to do a job in a better way. The some important visual aids which are used as extension methods are posters, flannel graphs, flashcards, puppets, slides and film strips, models, bulletin boards, photographs, blackboards and cultural programs. So this presentation was all about agriculture extension education. Hope this will be useful to all of you. Thank you very much. I have given here my YouTube channel details, Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Having request, please visit the channel, subscribe it and provide your kind and valuable feedback. Thank you.